Good afternoon, I'm Trinity Chavez. It is Monday, April 8th, and you're watching NYSE TV Live. In just about 20 minutes, Colorado Governor Jared Polis will ring the closing bell from the governor's mansion in Denver, Colorado, and close out the U.S. equity markets for the day. Governor Polis has been serving people in the Centennial state for more than 2 decades. He served one term on the Colorado State Board of Education from 2001 to 2007 and 5 terms as the United States Representative from Colorado's 2nd District from 2009 to 2019. He was elected governor of Colorado in 2018 and re-elected with 58.5% of the vote in 2022. Now, Polis also boasts an extensive entrepreneurial background, co-founding internal access provider American Information Systems while still in college, co-founding a free electronic greeting card website, BlueMountain.com, in 1996, and launching online florist profile hours in 1998. It was this business acumen that Polis says inspired him and his transition to serving the people of Colorado, committing himself to making sure that other Coloradans can pursue their dreams. And just last month, Governor Polis and Colorado state lawmakers introduced 9 bills that would aim to boost the state's workforce. Polis, who believes there is a mismatch between the skills of unemployed and those required by open positions, believes that by providing more funding for apprenticeship and workforce education initiatives, quote, unemployed Coloradans can get better jobs and those who are employed can earn a better living and gain more skills to be able to support themselves even better. The 9 bills cover items ranging from extending free credentials by continuing the state's Opportunity Now grant program to helping students enter apprenticeships and support for both teachers and the military. Polis' latest initiatives involve more than just workforce. In December 2023, Polis released the roadmap to Colorado's future 2026 as the state approaches its 150th anniversary. Polis and his staff traveled the state, gaining insight into what citizens love, the challenges they face, and what changes they want to see. Some of the major goals cited in the plan include creating more housing, strengthening Colorado's transit system, and reaching 100% renewable energy by 2040. As Governor Polis gets set to ring the closing bell, closing out the U.S. equity markets, it's important to tie in the relationship the state of Colorado has with the NYSE. 47 Colorado-based companies currently trade here at the New York Stock Exchange. The combined valuation of these companies exceeds $250 billion. Some of the big names include tech company Polaris, beverage Molson Coors, and skiers watching all around the globe will recognize the program with Vail Resorts, of course. Now, today's closing bell is just the latest example of how the New York Stock Exchange's reach goes well past the walls of this iconic institution. Earlier this year, the exchange tackled the Houston Livestock Show and Rodeo, where Judy Shaw spoke with Bruce Niemeyer, President of America's Exploration and Production at Chevron. Let's check it out.
Joining me on NYSE Floor Talk here at the Houston Livestock Show and Rodeo is Bruce Niemeyer. He is the president of America's Exploration and Production at Chevron. Bruce, fantastic to have you here. Thanks for joining me.
I'm happy to be here.
Thank you. So, Bruce, tell me, what are Chevron's priorities for 2024?
Well, they remain the same as they've been for the last several years. We're producing energy safely to a growing world. Energy demand in the world is growing. The demand for that energy is lower carbon. We are investing in traditional energies and new forms of energy to meet that demand around the world.
And tell me, what does the future of energy look like?
Well, we believe the future of energy is lower carbon, but we're going to need more energy in the future than we have today. We're going to need energy in all forms. We're investing in traditional energy today. In fact, last year, we produced more oil and gas in the United States than we ever have in our history. But we're also investing in new energies, lower carbon forms of energy, hydrogen, renewable fuels, and carbon capture, when we're going to need all of those forms of energy in order to meet the demands of consumers and enable human progress in the future.
Now, Chevron is a supporter of the Houston Livestock Show and Rodeo. What does that sponsorship mean to Chevron?
This is a really iconic event for our community, over $200 million of economic impact annually. But what really draws us to it is what it does for students and education in the area. In addition to the headline events, the rodeo and the performances that happen every day, are a variety of student events, competitions that they engage in.
And here we are actually listening to Background Check for Luke Bryant.
Which is going to be, I'm sure, a great show tonight. But if you go over on one of the pavilions on the side, you'll see the artwork that some of the students have produced, which is just amazing. The crafts, the raising of livestock, and the creativity that the students are showing today will, in many cases, be the creativity they bring to energy in the future. And that's what makes us interested in it.
Tell me how your sponsorship aligns with your company's values, and tell me what's your favorite rodeo event?
Well, the way this aligns with our values is education. We are about, as a company, providing energy to enable a future. And that future depends on the creativity of the workforce of the future. And students today are the creative energy workers of tomorrow. And so that's what draws us to it. In terms of my favorite event, that's hard to pick. We sponsor the bareback riding competition, and the cowboys that are involved in that are incredibly hardworking, they're incredibly gifted, they're incredibly humble, and just seeing what they do is quite amazing. It's really a treat to be around that.
Joining me now is Will Goodwin, Director of Operations and NYSE Institute. Good afternoon, Will.
Good afternoon, Trinity. It's great to be here, and what an incredible afternoon out in Denver, Colorado.
And here, right? I mean, the governor there is getting ready to close out the U.S. equity markets here and around the world. So let's talk about everything it took to get to this pivotal moment.
Sure. You know, this engagement is certainly special for us, Trinity, for what it means for Colorado, for our listed companies based there, but it's something that we're quite used to. For 231 years, the New York Stock Exchange has served as a bridge between public policy and commerce. And this event is really about celebrating Colorado and its economic trajectory, but also explaining the important role that public markets play in driving that inclusive economic growth in Colorado and communities all around the world.
And speaking of, here and all around the world, let's talk about how the NYSE and NYSE Institute is going about establishing, harnessing those relationships with leaders, domestic and abroad.
Sure. Well, in many cases, those relationships have existed for nearly 232 years. We're used to welcoming world leaders and U.S. policymakers here at 11 Wall Street. But this year, we're making a specific push to get out on the road into communities and help connect our companies who are on the ground creating jobs, helping provide investment opportunities for folks all across the United States, and connecting them with public policy leaders and decision makers.
And you mentioned boots on the ground, right?
Sure.
Really starting those relationships wherever they may be. Talk to me about the initiatives that the NYSE Institute is launching and what we have to look forward to.
Sure. Well, as you know, September will be the UN General Assembly, the 79th UN General Assembly. So we're going to look forward to welcoming leaders from all around the world here to 11 Wall Street. But we frequently host these type of engagements like you're seeing in Colorado, where U.S. CEOs and policymakers are coming together, and they're talking about how we can work together to help, build great companies, expand economic opportunity all across the United States, and so we'll continue to do so.
And speaking of working together, what should our viewers look out for when it comes to the connection and intersection between global affairs and capital?
Sure. Well, Trinity, this year, voters in more than 80 nations and territories around the world, representing about half of the world's GDP, are headed to the polls in elections. So our viewers should certainly be staying engaged and paying attention to what candidates are saying about economic issues. And we'll continue to highlight policymakers and their plans for the future here at 11 Wall Street and also out on the road like we are in Colorado.
A lot to look out for. Thank you so much for joining me.
Of course. Great to be here.
Now, Colorado Governor Jared Polis will be ringing the closing bell at the end of the hour. But last month, NYSE TV Live hit the road when Chipotle, which trades under the ticker symbol CMG, rang the closing bell from the MGM Grand Arena in Las Vegas. I spoke with the company's CEO, Brian Nicole, about what's next for the company.
What's next is more growth. So you see everybody in this room, they actually take the time to invest in those around them. And one thing that's pretty amazing is last year we promoted something like 24,000 people. Our folks care about each other, they care about our purpose, and they care about the food. And with that results in, I think, great results in, the growth that we've experienced, and we continue to count on coming forward.
I mean, this is extraordinary growth. Let's look at the numbers. So digital sales contributed to 37% of overall sales in 2023. So, I mean, how would you say that Chipotle is really bolstering its digital presence even more so in 2024?
Yeah, look, you know, one of the things that's really amazing is we took out the last fax machine in our Chipotles. That's right. Many people probably don't even know how to do a fax.
You should send it over to our archivist. I'm sure we could find it.
Maybe we will. We should probably be banging the fax machine. But we took the last fax machine out at the end of 2019, beginning of 2020. And we had a pretty, new digital business, about a $100 million business. Now, we finished last year with a $4 billion digital business. Which is really remarkable. We've got a rewards program with close to 40 million people that participate in it. And then frankly, we manage 2 really powerful businesses within our restaurants with one really great culinary-driven kitchen. And so when you think about the fact that we're a $10 billion company, $4 billion digitally, $6 billion in the restaurant, I don't believe there are many places that do what our people do every day in our restaurants, right?
No, and I have to say, just by talking to your colleagues and teammates here, everyone is truly passionate about what they do and truly enjoy that they love the work that they do. And that, I mean, you lighting up, you light up just even thinking about it.
Yeah, look, it's a gift, I think, frankly, that we all get to work together on this brand called Chipotle. It's what I believe is an iconic brand in the United States, and we're on our way to make this an iconic brand around the world. And the only reason why that's going to happen is because all the folks standing up here, these are, by the way, all the people in the black shirts are nominees for our Adobo Awards, all right? So these are all... Yeah. So you talked about those results with Scott of 8% comp, so on and so forth. We opened, 200 plus restaurants. It's because of these leaders and everybody actually in this room doing their part to make our company really special. And, we're fortunate that we have a purpose that I think goes well beyond just the food.
And, we have a little bit more time left, so I do want to ask you, your overall goal is to achieve 7,000 Chipotles worldwide, right? I mean, what are your plans to accelerate that growth?
Yeah, look, so actually that 7,000 number is just North America. So that's just Canada and the U.S. We're getting started on what we can do outside the U.S. We've got a partnership in the Middle East. We've got a couple restaurants in London, Paris, and Frankfurt. And I'll tell you what, those teams are starting to catch their stride as well. So in Canada, Anat, who leads that business for us, she just opened our first restaurant in Calgary. We'll get ready to open our first restaurant in Edmonton, which is really exciting. But I can't walk by the restaurants we're opening in the United States. We're setting records opening these new units, and they're opening really big and really powerful. And I couldn't do it without all these people in here. We wouldn't be able to open.
Yeah, give yourselves a round of applause.
Yeah.
That day was so much fun. But joining me now is Josh King, the head of corporate affairs here at the NYSE. Josh, good afternoon.
Good afternoon, Trinity. Great to be with you, even though so much of the action is happening at 1,000 miles to the west of here, or a couple thousand miles anyway.
But that just speaks to the NYSE's reach, right? I mean, so many things happen far beyond the scope of what happens here on the trading floor. But, let's talk about that. I mean, we just saw glimpses, right, of when we were on the ground covering ICE Experience. We were celebrating also our ICE colleagues along with the Chipotle Bell, which we just saw. Then we had Reddit go public a few days later. Then GE, Vernova, and Solventum both completed spinoffs just last week. I mean, it's been really, really eventful here. So tell me, now we have the governor about to ring the closing bell. How significant is this?
Well, Trinity, we've taken this bell on the road a lot over the last couple of years. We went to Bentonville, Arkansas to Walmart. We went to Detroit, Michigan to Ford. We've been to Las Vegas, Nevada, where you and I were. Interesting, thinking about that moment, you were in front of 1,200 of Chipotle's best people. Governor Joe Lombardo is the governor of Nevada. He works hard to keep a company like Chipotle happy and able to house and transport and finance the careers of a lot of young people in a state like Nevada. And here we are looking at what Governor Polis is doing in Colorado. So wonderful for us to be able to take the bell on the road to states like Arkansas, Texas, where we did it with Jerry Jones and the Dallas Cowboys, Michigan, Nevada, and now Colorado. Colorado, as you said at the beginning, 47 listed companies. Yep. Texas at the top of the list with, I think, 234. So while so much of the action happens down here at the floor of the New York Stock Exchange, we represent companies not only across the 50 states, but all across the world.
I mean, what message is this sending, the NYSE sending, with being able to host all of these remote bells from, around the country?
Because what happens in those places is what really matters. Yes, the shares are traded here, the capital is raised here, but the jobs are created out there. And Polis, Governor Polis, who you'll see ring the bell in just a couple minutes, he was elected in 2017, started his term in 2018, served his first term, got elected in 22, and he's out of office in 27. We talked to Missouri Governor Mike Parson a couple weeks ago on Inside the Ice House. Parson is coming down to his last year. So the clock is really ticking. As soon as these people get into office, Polis has so much work that he wants to do in terms of improving education, lowering taxes, increasing transit, increasing homes for people to be able to start businesses like he did in Colorado.
And Governor Polis is the latest, government official to ring the bell and to be in communication with the NYSE. So how significant is having political leaders like this be involved with the NYSE?
Well, you can look at the party identification of Jared Polis. He's a Democrat. When we went down to Texas, Governor Abbott is a Republican. You look at what's happening right now in the state of Maryland, where tragically the container ship ran into the Key Bridge.
Yes.
That puts enormous pressure on someone like Governor Wes Moore to improve and rebuild the transportation infrastructure of Maryland. We can only do so much here in the world of finance and capital. We depend on public servants like Greg Abbott, like Jared Polis, even if they wear different partisan jackets as they run for election, to, once they get in office, establish and build policies that are as good as possible for listed companies, their workers, and the products that they make. So we love the opportunity to shine a light on what good public servants like Governor Polis are doing in the State House, in this case, Denver, Colorado.
And I want to talk about Inside the Ice House, which you were alluding to earlier. So you've released some big podcasts, Larry Summers, Ken Griffin, you recently did down in Boca, and then a name in today's closing bell, Vail Mountain COO, Beth Howard as well.
Well, you think about Beth Howard, whose podcast we released last week, she has thousands of employees who are in Vail, Colorado, and the surrounding towns. Huge challenges for someone like Beth to create the seasonal housing that she needs for all the staff that not only are running the lifts, grooming the trails, making the snow, serving in the restaurants, becoming basically this incredible, magnificent tourist destination for so many people coming into Governor Polis' state in Colorado.
Yeah.
They land at Denver International Airport, they come out to Vail, they spend a few days, they spend a lot of money in that state, creating a lot of tax revenue for Governor Polis to continue to build the roads and improve the infrastructure. So all of these things put together, as I think about opportunities Inside the Ice House, we want to shine a light on what people like Jared Polis are doing.
And speaking about shining a light with what people like Governor Polis is doing, we have about 60 seconds. Can you give us a little preview of some more exciting podcasts that may be coming up?
Sure. We've got, thinking about Texas, Cassie Craigie. She works for a company called Rent-A-Kill. They are one of the world's foremost exterminators, to put a fine point on it.
Yes.
And so we go deep into what it takes to keep businesses and houses free of insects and termites. We've got Frank Barry, who recently wrote a book called Back Roads and Better Angels, about a trip that he took from the East Coast to the West Coast through the state of Colorado, looking for, in this incredibly partisan times, people who are willing to put partisanship aside and work for the greater good.
Well, thank you so much, Josh,
Thank
for
you,
joining
Trinity.
me. But now I'm going to send it over to Colorado, where Governor Jared Polis will ring the closing bell. Let's listen in.
Start clapping. Lynn, thank you for doing this with us. We really appreciate the opportunity. Bienvenidos a Colorado? Yes. Thank you.
Iconic brands speak for themselves. The strongest brands stand the test of time. We are so excited to welcome you to our community. Today is all about you.
We've never lost sight of what we're trying to do and deliver that mission.
Going through this experience with my partners and my families has been unbelievable.
We imagined something that didn't exist yet, and we believed that we could do it.
You're going to look back on this accomplishment as one of the finest you've ever done.
I want you to know that the best is yet to come.
Just a few minutes, we'll go downstairs to the legendary New York Stock Exchange trading floor to ring the opening bell. The history here, the tradition, it's just incredible for us to be at this moment.